Hello and welcome. Tonight, I invite you to set aside everything you think you know about death. Because what you're about to hear isn't about endings, it's about a journey. A path whispered through ancient tombs, echoed in forgotten chants, and hidden in manuscripts that the world was never meant to see. This is the story of what happens after your final breath, told not as a myth, but as a lived experience across dimensions. So before we begin, I invite you to get comfortable. Dim the lights, and let your thoughts drift with me beyond the veil. The day you leave your body. Now imagine this. Your heart stops, but you're still here. You see your body lying motionless. You try to speak, to move, but nothing happens. Your voice is gone. Your hands pass through the air. You shout, but no one hears you. That is the first second after death. In many esoteric traditions, there is something called the silver cord, a thin strand of light that connects the soul to the body. As long as it remains, you're still attached to the physical, but now it begins to fray. You hover above your body, confused. There is no pain. In fact, you feel lighter than you've ever felt before. Free, yet disoriented. You see the people you love crying, a doctor trying to bring you back, but none of it touches you anymore. You try to grab your loved one's hand, but your fingers pass through theirs. You try to shout their name, but your lips don't move. You are caught in the moment where the world continues, and you do not. This is what ancient texts called the day of separation, and it is only the beginning. The days of recognition, day 2 to day 4. You linger, not in the body, but not quite beyond it either. You hover between dimensions, in a space that feels familiar, yet alien, like a dream that forgot its ending. And in this twilight zone, something shifts. At first, you think you're alive. You walk, you see your home, your loved ones, the streets you once knew. You even hear your dog bark. But then, slowly, unsettling signs emerge. You try to touch a door. It doesn't open. You call out to someone. They don't hear you. The world, once solid, now feels like mist. This is not life. This is not death. This is in between. In spiritual traditions, this space is called the lower astral plane, a subtle mirror of the physical world. A copy, but without substance. And here the soul still clings to memory, emotion, longing. You try to return, you scream at your partner, you sit in your old room, you try to change the outcome, to undo what happened. But nothing listens. The past is now a sealed chamber. And so begins the second great sorrow of death. Not the body's loss, but the soul's denial. Some souls spend days here, watching, wandering, pleading. They attend their own funerals, feeling pain that is no longer physical, but emotional. Deep, lingering sadness. They hear their name read aloud in silence, see tears fall from eyes they once kissed. Others retreat into numbness, as if pretending they still live could reverse everything. They wander rooms, reliving their last moments over and over again, trying to find a crack in fate. But fate does not bend. And slowly, like clouds parting after storm, the truth begins to rise. I'm no longer alive. I've crossed. This realization doesn't come like lightning. It arrives in waves. A whisper at first, then a sinking truth. At this moment, ancient traditions say something miraculous happens. The soul is never truly alone. Though it cannot see them yet, spiritual guides appear, silent, patient, watching, waiting. They do not interfere. They do not judge. They wait for the moment the soul stops screaming and starts listening. Sometimes that takes minutes, sometimes years. But even in the confusion, your guides are there, like soft candlelight in a vast fog. And here's something living people never realize. Your thoughts are still heard. Your intentions still ripple. The prayers from the living, they reach you. Not in words, but in light. In fact, many cultures have rituals that last 3 days after death. Not by chance, but by design. Because these are the days where the soul still feels closest to the world it left behind. The veil is thin, and through that veil, love still travels. The Life Review, day 5 to day 7. You've stopped resisting. There's no more running, no more screaming, no more denial. You know now, you've died. But death is not stillness, it moves. And now the journey takes you inward. You find yourself alone, not in darkness, but in clarity. It is as if space itself holds its breath. And in that silence, something begins to play. Not a movie, not a memory, but something more real than both. You feel yourself pulled back into your life. But not as a spectator, as a participant. As everyone. This is the Life Review. You relive every moment, but not through your eyes. You feel the ripple of your every action, every word. You wear the skin of the people you touched and the people you hurt. You feel the sting of your anger through someone else's tears. You feel the warmth of a kindness you forgot you even gave through the heart of the one who received it. Time does not exist here. There is no timeline. Moments surge in waves, triggered by energy, by memory, by truth. You remember the time you spoke with cruelty and feel it echoed. You remember the kindness you gave quietly and feel its light. You remember what you didn't say, the hands you didn't hold, the apologies never spoken, and you feel everything. This isn't punishment. There are no demons, no angry gods, just you, the real you. And here's the miracle. You do not judge yourself with logic, you judge with feeling, and that makes it so much more powerful. Some souls break here, overwhelmed with guilt. Others rise, understanding that even in their failures, there was learning. What matters most isn't perfection, it's awareness. Because what you didn't heal in life, you face now. But you're not alone. As the waves of your life crash over you, beings of light stand nearby, not to save you, but to witness, to hold space. If you ask for help, they offer clarity. If you spiral in shame, they offer stillness. In many ancient texts, this moment is described as the mirror that does not lie. And that's exactly what it feels like. You look at the person you thought you were, then you see who you really were. And in that contrast, something inside you either shatters or awakens. Because to be fully seen is terrifying, but also liberating. And here's the truth. The more presence you had in life, the more grace you'll have in this moment. It's not about how much you achieved. It's about how deeply you lived, how conscious you were, how you treated others when no one was watching. Because now, everything watches. The threshold, day 8 to day 10. You've faced your life, you've seen its shadows, its lights, its regrets, and its grace. And now, something changes. There is no longer confusion, there is no longer denial, but there is still weight, like a silence that has mass, a fog not made of weather, but of memory. You now stand before something invisible yet unmistakable, the threshold, not a door, not a place, but a vibrational boundary that separates the soul from everything it clung to and everything it might become. The ancients called it the Valley of Shadows, the Tibetans call it the Bardo of Illusion, and some just call it the hardest step. Because here, everything that was unresolved returns. Guilt becomes a voice, shame becomes a shape, fears take form. You do not see demons, you see yourself, fragments of yourself, the parts you buried, the anger you denied, the pain you blamed on others, the grief you never let rise, and they rise now, not to punish, but to be seen. This is the soul's reckoning, not with external judgment, but with internal resistance. Many souls become trapped here. They wander through self-created labyrinths. They chase illusions, relive addictions, replay traumas, not because they are being punished, but because they are still attached. The threshold is a test of weight. You cannot cross with baggage. You must release. And yet, you're not alone. Your guides are closer now, still silent, still non-intrusive, but unmistakably present. They do not carry you, but they surround you with presence, with patience. If you dare to see what you've hidden, if you dare to feel what you've repressed, then they light the path forward. But if you choose to remain, you stay. Time doesn't move here like on Earth. One moment can stretch into years of wandering, of repeating thoughts, of trying to climb out of holes you keep digging yourself back into. This is what some call earthbound spirits. They are not cursed, they are stuck, not by bars, but by belief. But there is a truth the ancient manuscript repeats again and again. You are not here to be perfect. You are here to transform, and transformation requires friction, the fire of truth, the shedding of false identity. So now you ask, what am I willing to let go of? What pain have I used as a shield? What fear have I mistaken for self? And the moment you let go, truly, the fog begins to lift. The illusions dissolve, the shadows no longer chase you, they become part of your story, but no longer your prison. And for the first time since you died, you feel lightness, not of the body, but of the soul. You cross the threshold, and nothing will ever be the same again. Reunion with ancestors, days 11 to 13. The fog is lifted, you cross the threshold, you left behind the illusions, the fear, the clinging, and now something unexpected fills the space where confusion once lived. Familiarity, warmth, recognition. You are not alone anymore. Shapes begin to emerge, not sharp and physical, but soft and radiant. At first, they seem like memories, like echoes from long-forgotten dreams. But then, a name rises in your soul. A frequency you recognize, not with the mind, but with the heart. They are your ancestors, not just your grandparents or relatives from one lifetime, but souls from across your spiritual lineage. Spirits you've known across lifetimes, teachers, companions, protectors, some from Earth, some from realms beyond. They don't speak with words, they don't need to. Their presence is the message, and what they carry is love. Not the emotional kind, but a deeper, vibrating force, unconditional, knowing, eternal. They come to receive you, to embrace the fragile, awakening soul that you now are. You feel it, a returning, not to a place, but to a state of being you had forgotten. For some, these guides appear in human form. For others, they are beings of light, shimmering patterns of energy, symbols of what once was sacred to you, a mother's touch, a father's wisdom, a mentor's gaze. This reunion isn't a party, it's a recognition of who you've always been, of the spiritual family you've always belonged to. And it is healing, so much healing, because in this space, truth doesn't hurt, it comforts. You remember the relationships that were left unresolved, the love never spoken, the wounds never explained. And here, surrounded by presence, you find completion. There is no judgment, only clarity. Some ancestors step forward to share visions, not of what will happen, but of what can be. They help you see your purpose across lifetimes. They show you the threads you've carried, the courage, the fears, the talents passed on, the patterns you've repeated and now have a chance to release. And here, for the first time, you see yourself not as one life, but as a continuation, a link in an unbroken chain of souls evolving together. This moment is not guaranteed. The manuscript says, only souls who've released enough emotional weight can perceive this reunion. Those still bound by guilt or earthly obsession often miss it. They see only mist, never recognizing the hands reaching out. But you see them, because you let go. And in their presence, a new question arises, gently, quietly. Are you ready for the next step? The choice, days 14 to 16. The embrace has faded. The ancestors, the guides, they step back now. Not because they've abandoned you, but because a decision must be made, and only you can make it. But this decision doesn't come in words. There's no checklist, no heavenly voice. It comes in vibration. Your soul is now like a tuning fork, resonating with the sum total of everything you are, everything you've been, everything you've released, everything you still cling to. And based on that frequency, 3 paths begin to emerge. The first path, ascension. For those who have let go of the earthly weight, those who have understood their lessons, who no longer seek control, possession, or validation. This is the path of light, to higher planes. Subtle dimensions where love is not a feeling, but the very air you breathe. Souls here assist, create, expand. They prepare for service or for rebirth with intention. The second path, return. Some souls are not ready, not because they are bad, but because they still need earth. They feel the pull, an urgent sense of unfinished business, a lesson incomplete, a love left behind, a wound that requires a body to heal. These souls choose to reincarnate, quickly. They are drawn to families, places, timelines where their next chapter awaits, not as punishment, but as purpose. The third path, attachment. Then, there are the wandering ones, souls who cannot decide, who hover near the physical world, drawn by fear, by longing, by unresolved emotion. They do not return, they do not rise, they linger. These are the shadows that whisper in old houses. The presence is felt in grief-soaked spaces. Not evil, just lost, stuck in between. And now, your soul begins to move, not by walking, but by vibration. It flows where it belongs, where it resonates. No one sends you there, no one judges you. You go where your soul already is. And yet, there is still choice. You can resist, you can surrender, you can ask for help, you can even stay in silence, waiting for clarity. Because free will does not end with death, it deepens. So ask yourself, what am I ready for? Have I completed what I came here to learn? Am I still holding on to something, or am I ready to rise? And in the answer, your next destination begins to shimmer into view. The plane of memories, days 17 to 20. The decision has been made. Whether you chose to rise, return, or remain, one final journey awaits, not forward, but backward. You are now guided through a passage few speak of, a place not of judgment, but of farewell. It is called the plane of memories. Here, you don't relive your life to feel what you've caused. You revisit it to let it go. Your guides are close. They walk with you, not in front, not behind, but beside. You are still vibrating in between realms, but your direction is clear, to return to the places, the people, and the moments that shaped your human experience. You find yourself at the doorstep of your childhood home. You drift into your first school. You see your first heartbreak, your first joy. You walk by a younger version of yourself playing, laughing, crying, and all of it feels so real. But now, it no longer belongs to you. You stand beside your family, your children, your partner. You watch them live without you. You whisper to them, you cry for them. But the time of holding on is over. This isn't about regret, it's about release. Because you cannot ascend or return with a heart still anchored in a world you've already left. And so, memory by memory, the soul lets go. The old arguments, the missed chances, the secret smiles, the moments no one noticed but you always carried. They rise like mist and dissolve like dawn. Here, emotion returns. You may weep, you may laugh, you may fall to your knees in silence, but the release is sacred. Every tear is an offering, every goodbye, a rite of passage. Some souls struggle. They cling to their child, their lover, their unfinished story, and when they cannot let go, they remain stuck, looping the same moments, haunting the same halls of memory. But if you surrender, if you trust, then slowly your memories lose their weight and become light. Not forgotten, but transformed. And in that lightness, you feel something extraordinary. Peace. Not the peace of silence, but the peace of knowing you've lived, you've felt, you've learned, you've loved, and now you are ready to leave it behind, not as abandonment, but as transcendence. The plane of memories fades, and in its place, a new space begins to form. The realm of consciousness, days 21 to 24. You've said your goodbyes, you've released your name, your home, your body, and your story, and now there is nothing left to hold on to. No faces, no places, no past, only you, the true you. This is not a location, it's a state, a field of awareness, a dimension of being. The ancients called it the realm of consciousness. Time dissolves here. There is no yesterday, no tomorrow, only the endless now, pulsing with truth, light, and memory without weight. You feel yourself float, not through space but through knowing. Everything you were gathers, all the versions of you, across time, across choices, the child, the parent, the friend, the stranger, the victim, the villain, the lover, the seeker. They are all here, not to confuse you, but to return you to wholeness. In this space, you do not think with a brain, you perceive with your soul, and what you perceive is astonishing. You see why you were born into that family, why you loved that person, why you lost them, why certain pain returned again and again until you learned its name. You see that every experience had a thread, even the ones that broke you, especially the ones that broke you, because they cracked the shell that was never really you, and through those cracks, your light entered. This is where you remember the contract you made before birth, not in ink, but in intention. You remember choosing your lessons, your wounds, your voice. You remember how you said yes to the life you just lived, and now you finally understand it. Not with blame, not with shame, but with clarity. In this realm, your guides become clearer. They are not just separate beings, they are part of your greater self, the version of you that never forgot. Some describe this space as shimmering light. Others feel it as silence that sings. No words are needed. Thought itself becomes transmission. You are not told anything. You simply know. And in that knowing, something melts. The ego, the mask, the story. You are no longer the character in the play. You are the actor who played it. You are the awareness behind the eyes. You are the witness. And perhaps, for the first time since death, you are not just dead, you are awake. The Great Convergence, days 25 to 27. You've remembered, you've integrated, you've dissolved. Now something begins to pull you forward. Not like gravity, but like resonance, a hum, a vibration. Your soul, now stripped of stories, of wounds, of illusions, starts to align with the place it truly belongs. Not because someone sends you there, but because you've become magnetic. You are drawn, like iron to a frequency, like water to the ocean it was born from. This is called the Great Convergence. It is not a judgment, it is not a sentence, it is simply the soul meeting its match. Throughout your life, and especially in these past 24 days, your every choice, thought, forgiveness, fear, prayer, and pain has shaped a tone, a vibrational signature, a cosmic melody. And now you return to the part of existence that sings the same song. For some, this is a plane of peace, soft, slow, filled with light and silence. A realm where spirits serve, create, study, or rest. For others, it's a denser place, not evil, but heavy, filled with longing, confusion, loops of old thoughts. These are realms of learning through contrast. And for a few, those who have reached the highest clarity, they return to formless light, to the collective, to the spark. But here's what stuns most souls. No one places you. You go because you resonate. Even now, your guides remain near, not to choose for you, but to show you what your vibration has already chosen. They do not command, they gesture, they mirror. You are ready for this, or you still have something to learn there. And in that knowing, the final veil begins to lift. Some souls try to delay. They feel the pull toward a lower realm and they panic, they plead. But there is still mercy, still grace. Because in these last moments, something incredible can still happen. A single act of love, a genuine prayer, a heartfelt goodbye from someone still alive can lift the soul just enough to cross into a lighter space. Yes, even now. Because the echo of love still travels faster than the weight of fear. This is the great convergence. The sorting not by force but by truth. You do not go where you want, you go where you are. The final crossing, days 28 to 30. You are almost there. The realm is chosen. The resonance is clear. The journey has crystallized, and yet there's still a doorway, still a breath between dimensions. Days 28 to 30 are called the final crossing. These are the last moments between worlds, when the soul, though already aligned with its destination, remains sensitive, open, reachable. Like standing at the edge of sleep, not quite dreaming, not quite awake. Here, prayers are more than words, they are bridges. Candles are more than wax, they are lighthouses. In ancient Egypt, candles were kept burning for 30 days. In Catholic tradition, the 7th and 30th day masses are held. In Tibetan rites, chants echo for weeks. In Spiritism, this is the most intense window for intercession. Why? Because the soul, though ready, still feels the vibrations of love, still hears the whispers of hearts that grieve and remember. And sometimes, that love is strong enough to lift a soul further, to soothe it, to save it. Imagine this. A soul stands on the threshold of a heavy realm, but then someone lights a candle. Someone whispers their name. Someone forgives them. Someone sends light. And in that one act, the soul's vibration shifts. Not dramatically, not with fireworks, but enough. Enough to cross into a lighter place. Enough to rise a step higher. Enough to let go completely. This is the grace of the living. The chance to love someone even after they've left. But not all souls receive this. Some go quietly, with no one left to remember. Others are held too tightly, trapped by grief, anger, or clinging. This is why these 3 days are sacred, because even in silence, love echoes. And for the soul, these echoes are like ropes of light reaching across the veil. If you've ever lit a candle, said a prayer, cried while whispering someone's name, know this, it mattered. It may have been the very thing that helped them reach the light. Now, the door begins to close, and when it does, there is no return. The crossing is complete, the journey has been walked, and the soul has arrived. The arrival, day 31. And then it is day 31. No fanfare, no final test, just a quiet shift, like a curtain closing, like a breath exhaled. The veil fully descends, the link to the physical is gone. You have arrived, but not in a place, in a state of being. Whatever path your soul has chosen, a realm of healing, a plane of learning, a cradle of silence, or the endless sea of light, you are now fully within it. You no longer look back, not because you forgot, but because you've moved beyond the need to remember. The mind is no longer your navigator. Consciousness is. There are no borders here, no clocks, no roles to play, no names to defend. You do not do, you become. And what you become is exactly what you've always been. Whole, boundless, eternal. You may continue, you may pause, you may dissolve further, you may take form again, but whatever happens next, it will be born from truth, not fear. You will no longer seek light, you will be light. The journey is complete, and yet, in ways only the soul understands, it has only just begun. Because death, as it turns out, was never the end, it was only the doorway, and now, you've stepped through.